Parshas Yisro, Torah says in Perik Yud Tes, Pasuk Yud Zayin, Vayotze Moshe es ha'am likras Elokim min ha'machaneh, Vayisiatzu Yisrael, Vayisiatzu besachti sahar. So they set themselves at the foot of the mountain. The Gemara says that we learn from here, Kaf alem sahar kigigis tachti sahar, they were literally under the har. Because Baruch held the mountain over them like a gigis, like a barrel. Amar lehem, im tekablen mutav, if you accept the Torah, very good. Ve'im lav, if not, sham tekurasa, that's where you're going to be buried. So, Klal Yisrael are there at Har Sinai, and because Baruch holds the mountain over them. And the Pashup shot in the Gemara obviously is that there's some sort of, the Pashup words mean there's some sort of threat. I think as the Maharal says that it means that the choice was so obvious of what they should choose that it's as if somebody was dangling a mountain over you. That's the Pashup Mahal to the Gemara. But if you look at the Gemara carefully, there are two obvious questions. Number one, it says, because Rochel Kafale Besahar Kigigis. So the first question is that if you use an analogy usually go from the weaker one to the stronger one. For example, if I was walking outside, I was being chased by a poodle, and I'd be afraid of a poodle, and I was trying to express my fear to somebody. I'd say, you know, I was being chased by a poodle, but to me it seemed like a Doberman. I wouldn't go to somebody and say, I was being chased by a Doberman, but to me it seemed like a poodle, unless I wasn't afraid. But if I was afraid, I certainly wouldn't say, if I was so afraid it was a Doberman, and I was so afraid, to me it seemed like a poodle. It doesn't make any sense at all. So here, where Klal Yisrael are being intimidated by a mountain, very difficult to understand. It says, Kafalem Atzahar Kigigis. Now, Klal Yisrael saw something nobody else in history ever saw. They saw the underside of a mountain. So if this is a mountain, there's a mountain being dangled over your head. You look up, there's a mountain. They saw something no mountain climber's ever seen. They saw the underside of a mountain dangling over their head. So logically, we should say, I mean, honestly, which is worse, being under a mountain or being under a barrel? Right, so the Gemara, if anything, it should say he held a barrel over them. And to them, it seemed like the barrel seemed like a mountain. But to go and say, well, he held a mountain, if I was writing the Gemara, I would have said, Kafalei Mazar, he held a mountain over them, he held a mountain, seemed like a mountain. That's what it seemed like. So the mountain is very intimidating. Say, well, he held a mountain over them. Big deal. But it was like a gigi, so it's like a barrel. Right? You know, I mean, I'd much rather be under a barrel than under a mountain. So why would the analogy go from the stronger to the weaker, which doesn't seem to make any sense, number one. Number two, Im tekablen mutav, if you accept the Torah, very good. Ve'im lav, if not, sham tekvurasa, that's where you're going to be buried. Gemara should say, l'chora, po tekvurasa, this is where you're going to be buried, right over. I'll drop it on you and splat. You're going to be buried right here. So, one of the answers is that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he held the mountain over them, was like an inverted barrel. If you take an inverted barrel, if you lower a barrel down on somebody, so they're trapped inside the barrel. That means in the barrel, you lower it down over the person can't move, he's trapped inside the barrel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu holds a hollowed mountain over Klal Yisrael. Kahar kigigis, it's inverted, like it looks like an inverted barrel. And what he's telling Klal Yisrael, he's telling the mitzias of what happens to the Torah Jew. Many people look at Torah from the outside, the Torah lifestyle, they see that there are limitations, there are prohibitions, there are all sorts of restrictions. Person looks at it from the outside and says, how can you live like that? Because Baruch Hu says, if you accept the Torah, if I lower the mountain over you, and you're within the protective barriers of the Torah, that's the best way for a Jew to live. Im tekablena, with all the restrictions and all of the rules, mutav, that's the best thing for you. It's the best way to live. Because the restrictions and the rules allow us to live a lifestyle which is so enjoyable and fulfilling. Self-control, midos development, and everything that goes with it, which enhances our appreciation of life. The imlav, if you don't want to accept the Torah, you want what that world has, you don't want to be within the restrictive walls of Torah, you want to live like that world out there, sham teik v'rasa, that world out there is going to bury you. All the vulgarity, the ugliness, the lack of values of that world, the hefkerus, you really want that? You go out to that world will bury you. Sham teik v'raschem. Therefore, the best thing for a Torah Jew is to accept the Torah, and accept everything the Torah has to offer, to live with the self-control mandated by the Torah, and that's the way we appreciate life.